Hi everyone, and welcome back to COYS and Kin. I'm Siddhu,
And I'm Anand.
and we're a father-son duo who live and breathe Tottenham Hotspur. Each week, we dive into all things Spurs in their 2025-2026 Champions League run. The matches, the players, the highs.
And the lows.
So whether you're here for analysis, banter, or just to share the Spurs passion, come on you
Come on,
Spurs.
you Spurs.
So,
Before we start,
yes.
let me tell the people who are viewing
Mhm.
to subscribe to our channel and to hit the like button. Okay? We have, seems like more than 4,000 views every time we have this broadcast. And so it'll be fantastic if many of you end up being subscribers.
Yes, I second that statement. Absolutely. Um, okay, so today we're reviewing the match against Monaco that was played in Monaco, ended 0-0. It seems like we, for the sake of YouTube algorithms, we can't curse too much, but maybe we're maybe just this season will be more of the lows than the highs, it seems. I mean, I
I
think
mean,
this.
I don't know. Monaco is a very, very difficult place to come to and
Mhm,
win games. I
sure.
mean, they are not doing that well in League One.
Hmm.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, they are in the sixth position, or maybe the seventh position. But they have not lost any game at home.
At home. Oh,
They've
okay.
not lost any league earned games, and they have not lost Champions League game either.
I know
So
they,
they're a
they
tough.
tied Man City, right? So with an Eric Dyer penalty, which is one of the best penalties I've seen in a while. Um,
Right.
right. So no, that is true. Yeah, even Man City couldn't really. I mean, Man City scored twice, right? But yeah,
Yeah. So that's the only kind of thing you can cling on to. Meaning, coming to Monaco and getting a point is not bad. However, if you looked at the way Spurs played, I mean, there was no progress of
mhm.
forward movement at all. The very little forward movement. And I don't know what you think, Sidhu, but I thought that they had set up in a very, very defensive way. So of course, Monaco didn't score, but it could have been preordained.
Right. I think that Frank has started to almost insist on Polina and Bentancur being the de facto two midfielders for the holding midfielders. And everyone in the fan base knows that even last season, Bentancur and Basuma were not good enough to be the two holding midfielders for progressing the ball forward. So they were
Right.
not good defensively because one of them would always make a mistake, usually Basuma. This time, at least Polina, we know he's going to be a rock in the center of the midfield. But neither of them, there were several instances. I remember Archie Gray would make a run forward because it seemed like he was given a bit more license to go forward than Porro, who kind of, stayed closer to the halfway line. But every time Bentancur would turn around and kick it to Van der Ven, and Polino would kick it to Danso. And without Romero there, passing out from the back, I think there's just no one who has that ability except maybe Porro. But Porro, I think, had one of his worst passing days that I remember
Yeah,
in
in
a
fact, so
while.
let's talk about Porro because it almost seems as though if you compare Porro of last year to Porro of this year, that he has been kind of put in a cage.
Mm,
So he's the one of the fullbacks who's continuously kept back.
yeah.
And so he doesn't seem to really be doing enough progressive things, passing forward, centering the ball, and those kinds of things. And today, I thought he finally had a bad game. I mean, generally, he doesn't have a bad game.
Hmm.
We do get a bit nervous when the ball is kicked, high balls, and there are, very tall, forwards rushing at him. And he somehow manages to keep them under control.
Right.
Today, luckily for us, Monaco's front line was really miserable, actually. Otherwise, they would have scored. I mean, I would have at last count, they would have scored 4 or 5 goals.
No, I mean, I
Like
don't even know how many. I think they had, I mean, Vicario made 8 goal stopping shots. And we were
that's
texting
right.
during this game, and I even said, oh my God, Vicario's passing is horrible, which it was. It was terrible this game. But then he was he was easily the player of the game as well. Not to get away from
Exactly.
the Porro point, but yeah, no, it was none of them were linking up in that way too. And
Exactly. So Porro, I thought had finally, I would have called it a bad game because
yeah,
he simply wasn't going forward. I mean, he had 2 or 3 occasions to do free kicks. One of them was the worst free kick
yeah,
I've seen
right.
in any team in a
I
long time.
I can't
He
believe that.
sim
Yeah, it just went
yeah,
all the
he
way
simply
over.
kicked it, yeah, from the left to the right, almost as though he was trying to get to Kudos, but
Yeah,
Kudos was nowhere near where the ball was, and the
right,
ball
right.
just simply went out. So he didn't have a good game. He had a reasonable shot at goal, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, Porro's goals to attempt percentage is really low. So a couple of times he just simply didn't
No,
get
but
the
okay, and that brings up the other point that I was texting you about, which is that, Frank's whole system, his methodology is we want shots on goal to only be high XG shots, meaning the high expectation that the ball will go into the net if you shoot the shot. So I think right now they've realized, okay, how are we going to create high XG shots? We are simply going to do set pieces, and we're going to cross it in from the side and hope for the best.
right.
And Richarlison today, there were moments where he had some good link up play and he weaseled his way out when he had his back to the goal. Which whenever I see Richarlison do that, I think, wow, he can do that. But then no final product. And then
No, I was watching Richarlison. So
yeah,
going from Porro to Richarlison, I thought his positioning was all bad. I mean, there were so many situations where he was either too close to the person trying to pass to him, or he was
mm,
too close to a defender. And if you looked to the his right in both occasions, there was a lot of space. So, as a good striker, he should have run into a space or created space around him so that the teammates could pass to him in a place where the XG would have been pretty high actually.
that no, that's a good
So he
point.
somehow didn't do a good job. On the other side, um, I think Archie Gray was confused a little bit as to what his role was. So for
Yeah,
a
for
beginning of
sure.
the game, 2 or 3 times I thought, oh my God, he's going to, create a goal for the other team because he was sometimes playing left back, sometimes he was, cutting in and playing like an additional midfielder.
Right.
And I think he was probably not set up probably
Well, I think,
properly.
yeah, I mean, all these players, right? Their roles are kind of connected to one other player. So I think that his role was almost to be this inverted fullback sort of position because he is a good midfielder. He actually is, I think, out of all the
Yeah,
midfielders that started, I think he's the best progressive midfielder. Obviously, he started as a
yeah.
left back, so it's kind of, hard to
Exactly, but
say.
he somehow didn't get in the game properly. I mean,
Yeah,
nor did very well.
yeah.
Neither of them got in the game, and you're right. They have the ability to progress the ball and to get it into productive positions in the box, or certainly, and they somehow didn't do it. There was a one time I saw very well ran in while
Hmm.
Kudos was trying to
Yeah,
center the
right.
ball.
Right.
But the problem with Kudos is that he always takes the ball from the wing,
Hmm.
and he essentially takes on the defender, and by the time he gets to a position to center the ball, he has hardly any space. So the forward has to almost be in like a
Yeah, they have to be
geometric line
very in
to
sync.
the
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, when Xavi came on and was playing as the 10, Xavi, I think he has good footwork. He has good, this football presence and acumen and stuff, but the amount of like kind of tricks that he tries to pull and little plays and little give and goes when he does all these things, but he ends up tricking our own players more than the other team, it seems. Every single time.
Right.
He did like there was a back flick that he tried to do to, I guess Bentancur was off. Maybe it was Bergvall at that point, but no, Bergvall was also off. Whoever, he did this back pass, and then I think it was Jed Spence, and then Jed had already was not even standing anywhere close to where the ball was going to go, and then they took the ball and ran with it, but luckily I think Van der Ven closed it down. It was quite frustrating to also see him do that. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think he has very good footwork. So does Kudus, so does Odobert.
yeah.
So these are three guys who can take on defenders. But this happens to Xavi on a regular occasion. He is playing with the ball. Let me use those words, playing with the ball, trying to get around defenders. And it seems to me the team is watching him. They're
Mm,
not moving. Okay. So I don't know whether you remember in the last game, he did this and he had the ball. He couldn't progress in front. So he back heeled it on the assumption that Jet Spence or somebody was going to be behind him, and there was
right,
nobody behind him.
right. I
And
do remember.
today, when he was doing the thing, he expected Kudus to get into space, and Kudus never did.
But
So,
yeah,
so what generally
I
happens, and
right.
you can watch him, he does all this, and then he kind of gets impatient, and he then attempts to get a goal. So he had two shots at goal, where I mean, there was no way, given the way how he was positioned,
Right.
they were both going to be really, really difficult shots.
You know.
So the other thing I thought that if you remember, we spoke about this. I thought Vicario was falling off his form, and I really thought that the goals he let in by Aston Villa, he at least he could have stopped one of them.
Yeah.
Today he was masterful. He was
Yeah.
masterful. Okay,
Yeah. No doubt.
and then the second thing is, I mean, these guys, Monaco was really wasteful. I mean, what's his name?
Yeah, it
I
was
forgot the
this
name.
Japanese player, right?
Miyamino,
Hmm.
yeah, Japanese player. He had three fantastic, easy shots in front of goal, and he
Yeah.
missed all three.
Yeah.
Okay. Conversely, you remember that guy that I told you we should have gotten, which is
Akliouche.
Akliouche.
Yeah.
Akliouche.
Hmm.
In fact, we were going to bid for him, and then Monaco basically said, no, we're not going to let him go, and tied him up. He played really well. He was really, really good.
Yeah.
And, he created a lot of chances. Unfortunately for Monaco, he couldn't also either complete it or there was nobody to support him, right?
Yeah, I mean, I forget. I don't know if he plays an under. I forget how old he is. I think he plays for the French under 21 team, and like, he's like their main star right now as well. So,
Right, right.
um,
So the other thing
yeah,
I think a lot of fans feel like I do. Two things. One is, we started this podcast. I think Frank is setting up little too conservatively.
yeah.
Now, my view is like this. I don't think there's any chance we're going to win the Champions League, right? There's no chance.
Mhm.
So I think the best thing he can do is to use the Champions League to experiment, I mean, he may be a little too nervous to experiment with his methodology in the Premier League, but
Mhm.
today it was a fantastic chance for him to experiment. I mean, he could have played maybe a 3-4-3 setup, and in a situation like that, maybe the middle two could have been Paulinho and not Bentancur. Maybe he could have had Kudus in the middle, right? He could have had
Mhm.
Paulinho and Kudus, and then as wing backs, he could have had Jed Spence and Porro, and had three in the back, and that could have been an experiment, right? I say that partly because I am also really positively biased towards Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, right.
I think Brennan Johnson, when he came on,
I know
he
he
got into
almost when he
position.
almost scored that goal, I was like,
Yeah,
he's made
he
for
should have scored.
that moment, and it is a
Yeah,
shame that goal because it was on track. The defender actually just jumped in the way at the last minute. Otherwise, that would have been a goal, and we would have all
Absolutely.
sung the praises of Brennan Johnson one more
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. I think he may not be a good all-around football player, but he has an X factor,
Yeah,
and he's a guy who can actually score goals. And
right.
what we are missing now is a person who can really score goals. I mean, last year it was Brennan Johnson, it was Madison, it
Mm.
was Solanke actually, and Kulusevski, and none of them is playing,
Yeah, and
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 Brennan Johnson
Son a
is not
little bit
playing,
too, right? So,
and Son. I'm sorry, I forgot Son.
right.
But so I don't know. I think Frank needs to bring Brennan Johnson in. Honestly, because maybe he's not the best all-around football player, but he knows where to be when the ball arrives, right?
Yeah,
I mean, the great Wayne Gretzky of hockey fame. They asked him, "How come you're so great?" He said, "I'm not better than anybody else. It's just that I have a knack to know where the ball is going to be when I arrive there, or I'm able to arrive where the ball is going to be." So that is something you can't really, train or teach or coach. No, there has to be something inside of you.
yeah.
What do you think? Yeah, Brennan Johnson.
Brennan Johnson, yeah, we need to see him have more regular time. The issue is in the league, people tend to sit back a little bit more. And today, at the very end of the match, Monaco was going for it. So there was
Yes.
space for Brennan Johnson to run into, right? That I think is the big difference between why Brennan Johnson would always work if when Timo Werner was on the left and Brennan Johnson was on the right, we actually were able to kill teams when they were trying to attack us. So almost you counterattack them. And that's why I think it's tough to start Brennan Johnson because Kudus tires, he really kills a fullback because the fullback has to think so much, has to run so much, has to physically do so much that then you put
Yes.
Brennan Johnson on and let Brennan Johnson score the goal. It's hard for me to
So
think
that's
about
why
Brennan
I
Johnson
would put
starting.
Kudus in the middle. In other words, if you have a 3-4-3,
Mm,
then with the three center backs with Polinia in front of him will free up Kudus, and then you also can bring in Brennan Johnson into the team,
right. I think we should do a 4-4-2 with Johnson and Richie or Johnson Solanke or Johnson Kolomwani because I think that Johnson as a second striker to run onto a ball that someone else is holding up, I think that would, in my
Yeah,
mind,
that's another option.
yeah,
Clearly, that's another option, right?
yeah,
So anyway, I mean, I'm not so worried about the Spurs are now 15th in the Champions League
right.
table. Um, I mean, you look down the list, and these are some amazing teams playing amazing football. I mean, Liverpool was down by one goal for a little bit, and they simply went ahead and won the game. Really well.
Right.
We had a dominant performance. Bayern is playing lights out. Barcelona is playing lights out. PSG is playing lights. So I think,
Arsenal, unfortunately.
sorry,
Arsenal are unfortunately playing lights out too.
Arsenal, of course, Arsenal and Chelsea too, by the way.
Yeah, right.
And so I would, if I were Frank, I would use the Champions League to experiment at a high level. So, in other words, at home in the Premier League, if you lose to low-level teams, that's really, really bad. But in the Champions League, who cares, right? Because you're never going to get to the end. So, might as well go ahead and do something different. So, let's see. Any other final words?
No, the next match is I think Tuesday, November 4th against Copenhagen. So there will be some sort of Danish connection that hopefully, Frank can. I don't know if he has some special sauce to cook up against the Copenhagen team, but
Yeah, the Copenhagen team is doing much worse than us.
yeah,
So, I mean, I hope he uses that as an opportunity to experiment rather than to say, well, I have to win this game. So I'm going to do this, don't tweak anything, and then I won't learn anything about my players either.
right.
On to 2 weeks from now, and that's a home game, which makes me a little bit nervous, because the Spurs don't
Yeah.
seem
What's up
at
with
home.
whole nother conversation? 17th in the league for home and first in the league for away, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're away to Everton this weekend. So maybe actually now that you put it like that, maybe I'm actually a little bit more positive about us playing against Everton.
Okay. I mean, the funny thing is, Spurs have scored only one goal less than Arsenal, only two goals less than Chelsea, and they have let in less goals than Chelsea. I mean, the goal difference is better than Chelsea, and so on. So it's not as though the team is playing really badly. It's just that it's been quite frustrating to watch them over the last month.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, with that, let's say we'll win the next few games, and then we'll be in a better frame of mind.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay,
See you
so
in two
see
weeks.
you in 2 weeks.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.